I'm Matt Bishar with Nareit here in Hollywood, Florida for Nareit's REITwise, the 2018 Law, Accounting, and Finance Conference. Joining me today is Cindy Fornelli, Executive Director for the Center for Audit Quality. Cindy, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Now, the CAQ recently held roundtables with the pharma, technology, and REIT industries to explore the perspectives of management, investors, audit committees, and external auditors on non-GAAP financial reporting. What was the objective behind these roundtables?
Well, we saw that more and more companies were using non-GAAP financial measures to tell their story, if you will. And so we wanted to get behind that and understand what was driving the use of that, and were there lessons to be learned or best practices that emerged. So as you said, we had a series of 3 roundtables picking a different industry sector for each one, and had multi-stakeholders. So as you said, audit committees, auditors, investors, which we thought was an important group to hear from as well.
Now, what were some of the key takeaways that came out of these roundtables?
Well, what we learned was that each of those groups had a certain set of unique challenges for them. And so that was fascinating. So for instance, investors understood, and in fact, in a large part were the drivers of the use of non-GAAP financial measures. A lot of companies are hearing from analysts that they would like more information outside of GAAP, in addition to GAAP. But what investors struggle with is comparability. How do I know, that this set of non-GAAP measures used by this company in the same industry as another company, are those comparable numbers? So that's a challenge that investors have. Management, of course, the challenges that it has is complying with the SEC guidance on how to calculate and present non-GAAP measures. And while those are challenges that are easily overcome, again, they want consistency. And same thing with the audit committees. They would like to see more information about how their company compares to peer groups. So that notion of consistency and presentation, some of the guidance that's in the SEC space are the very things that all of these various groups find challenging from time to time.
And you touched on this a little bit. Could you elaborate a little bit on how investors are driving this use of non-GAAP?
Yes, so they want to know the story, right? GAAP information in the financial statements is very helpful to investors. Every investor that we talk to in whatever context validates that they use the financial statements, which contains the GAAP numbers, to understand as the baseline of the company's health. But then they want more, and non-GAAP information, as well as key performance indicators, helps investors see the bigger picture and also helps the company tell its story, its own unique story. And so used that way, investors really find those KPIs and non-GAAP to be very helpful.
And lastly, were there any themes or issues that emerged at the REIT roundtable that were different from the other two? Well,
REIT was really fascinating to us, and we were so pleased that Nareit was able to help us get people from the sector into the roundtable, because the REIT sector is really the only sector that has put some standardization around the use of non-GAAP financial measures, and so much so that the SEC acknowledges and recognizes that standardization. And even though standardization proves to be challenging in the sense that if one of the goals for a company using non-GAAP is to tell their unique story, once you put a structure around it, you then limit some ability to tell that unique story. But it was very fascinating to hear how the REIT industry uses that and the benefits that they see to having some standardization, but not too much.
Cindy, thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure. Thank you.
For more from REITwise, be sure to visit Nareit's website, REIT.com.